Hey guys, welcome to GC Talks. I'm David Villa. This is our Young Entrepreneur Series with Zach Mathews. He's the CEO of Fast and Focus here in Tampa. Zach is an amazing young entrepreneur. You're going to love this interview. Check it out. All right, so I'm sitting here with Zach Mathews, Fast and Focus, the president, the CEO, the founder. Hey, Zach, young entrepreneurs, man, when you came to mind first when we started this series, you're a good friend of mine. We're in small groups together. We're in a mastermind together. I spend a lot of time around you. You actually, if some need to know, you actually at one point worked for our organization. I've watched you firsthand, super impressed. Young entrepreneur, and I want to throw this out there because you're a man of faith. You're a business owner, and how hard is it, even as a person of faith, how difficult is it to step out and be an entrepreneur in 2023, even when you hear from God, how difficult is it?
Oh, it's really hard. I mean, I think about, it's funny, I was kind of thinking about, because I don't think you even know this, but as of a year ago yesterday, that was the first day that I started Fast and Focus, and you and I had that talk. So kind of full
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I mean, looking back on like what led to that, it's just like a long strand of things, because as you know, I worked in sales for the Buccaneers for a while. Then, didn't really know why, but I wanted to step out into like a freelance copywriter thing. And looking back, that was actually my first like glimpse at what it would be like to take that leap as an entrepreneur.
Right.
I just didn't know that's what it was yet. So it's funny just to look back and see like how God was kind of like pushing me, nudging me, just ever so subtly. And then, to come to like a year ago where, I came to IPD like a year and a half ago, just for a season. And, I learned a lot in sales, but what I really like took away was you can run a company and have it like, collaborate with, faith and building to his kingdom. And I just thought like, I want that, like I want to build something like that for myself. And so, then it just became like, just repetitive prayers to God of like, give me a vision for something like that. I want to do something like that. And then, in the coming months, you just kind of gave me this idea of like, I want you to be a coach. I want you to help people. I want you to, I'm going to give you a business model that's easy to implement so that, you can just kind of run with it. And,
right.
Honestly, it just got to a point where, I kind of felt guilty not taking that step of faith, because he was literally telling me at one point, he was like, I've given you the vision. I gave you the idea. Like, all I'm asking for you to do is just step out in faith now. And I wasn't doing that for a while. So, to answer your question, it's terrifying, but, when you pray as much as I prayed to get that, it was maybe less scary. I don't know.
Well, they said, so the definition, right? Hebrews definition of faith, the one I guess we're all familiar with. There's so many layers to faith, but Hebrews definition of faith, right, says what? The faith is the substance of things hoped for, but the evidence, which means evidence is like, you can see it. Evidence is like, there's evidence I'm sitting on a couch, and there's evidence there's a table in front of me, right? There's evidence that we're having a conversation. I can see it, you can see it. We don't need much faith for that. So faith is the substance of things hoped for, but the evidence of things not seen. Like if I'm supposed to believe there's a table, but I can't see it, that requires faith. And so let's talk about that for a second. You said a step of faith. That's a word that we use in church, and sometimes it kind of just passes over us, right? We're like, okay, a step of faith or a leap of faith. But it required you at some point, because you knew, right? In your heart, you knew, hey, God, this is a God thing, right? God's birthing this on the inside of me. I'm passionate about it. I can see it. But what I can see, and compared to where I am right now, there's distance between that. But you said, I'm going to take a step of faith. And it was hard. But talk about that. What does that first step feel like? I mean, how important, I guess I should say, is that first step? And then how quick did you know that God was with you on that step?
I think that first step is the only step that feels like you're taking a step off the ledge of a cliff. Everything else after is just like, continuous because you kind of have to. Mm-hmm. But I think to your point, that step of faith is literally just action. up until that point, it's all these ideas and thinking, oh, that'd be nice to have, or oh, that'd be nice to do, maybe one day. But then it's like that actual like first step, becoming what you say you want to become, becoming what you prayed for, and becoming what, he's called you to do. It's horrifying, but that first step, however small, that's probably the biggest one you'll take, because everything thereafter just kind of validates your decision. Not once, it's been hard, at points throughout the year, but of fast and focused first year here, but not one day has there been I shouldn't have done this. That's confirmation alone, just like taking those steps and knowing that, hey, because it's not my company anyways. Maybe if I thought it was my company, there would be more fear involved, but knowing that this is the company he gave me to run, I know we're in business together, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it does to me, but I want to make sure it makes sense to everyone listening. So let's talk about that. Let's unpack that for a sec. So you're a Christian, you're listening to this, or maybe you're not, and but you're intrigued, you're listening. This is the difference between anyone can start a business. Look, if you're listening to this, maybe you're a business owner, you thought about starting a business, whether you're a believer or not, this is as easy as going on to the corporation site, right, and just getting an LLC. You can pay $100 and some odd, come up with a name, and there you go, you got a business, blah, blah, blah. But it's a lot more than that. And it's work no matter what. Okay, so let's unpack for a second what Zach just said. He said, it's not my business. And if that just went ding in your head and you're like, wait a minute, whose business is it? I thought you said he was the CEO, he's the founder. And so when you're a believer, Zach, I know you believe this, you just said it. I want you to unpack that a little bit. So you're saying you're a steward of the business that God's given you. So here's the thing. It takes the pressure off, in a sense, because it's like God gave this to me, and you know what? It's his responsibility. I'm stewarding it, but he's the one that gives the increase. But I want to ask you, how much is it about, not just with the Fast and Focus, which is, a coaching business, which we'll get into in a minute. Of course, that's directly related to people, but I mean, all of our businesses as people of faith, it comes down to the thing that God cares about is not lining our pockets with money just for the sake of it, or he doesn't care about you just getting that new home or whatever it is you want. And those things are fine, but he cares about the people's lives that we can impact through the channel of business, whether it's because we're able to give or whether it's the people we touch or a combination. So talk about that. When you say it's not your business, how important and how much is it about people to you?
Oh, that's all it is. I think when God gives you a business or gives you like the idea of a business, that's when you know that it comes from him. The business model just kind of has this selfless, stewardship to it. Because the way I see it, like anyone who comes through Fast and Focus and joins and becomes a member and tells us their goals and what they want to accomplish, they were sent straight to us for a reason, because it was this whole idea of Fast and Focus was for them anyways, right? It wasn't for me, like you said, it wasn't for me to buy the house or buy the fancy new car. It was to help them, where are they? Where does God want them to be? And how can we get them there? With the small steps like you're talking about. So I think that's the beauty of like having a business that's his and you just run it, because then I'm just acting out in faith. I'm just, kind of like you said, stewarding people, making sure that I give them the most value possible and help them versus just like another product that I came up with, right, that may or may not actually help them at all.
Yeah.
There's just validity to the fact that this is actually helping people as long as I, keep making small steps to make it bigger and better.
I love that, man. I love it. Well, so the entire time we've been talking on and off, the screen, your Instagram, your LinkedIn handles have been up there. So people, make sure you follow Zach and find out how to follow him. And I'm gonna in a couple more minutes that we have, Zach, I want to ask you about helping people, because I really do believe, what you do. It's not only it helps mentally and spiritually, but it definitely helps physically. And there's a tie to what you do that specifically I believe will help people in everything they do. This is our temple, right? This is what God has given us, and we need to be good stewards of this. Or when the stress comes, or when the anxiety comes, or when the trials come, a lot of times, if this temple is not taken care of, right? then everything else kind of falls apart from there. And I know that you're big on that. Give me, without names and things like that, because I know that there's a lot of clients that I don't want you to have to discuss that, but just what's, for the listeners, someone that's thinking about, hey, I want to be part of what Zach's doing, and then hearing you talk about how much you do this for people. What's a success story? What's one, like something someone told you or your client said that's just the reason, just this sounds off and says, that's it right there. That's what I do. That's why I do what I do, because of that right there. Give us an example.
Yeah. No, I had one lady that she was just kind of overwhelmed. She's in a VP position at her company, and she was just kind of overwhelmed with how she'd gotten to where she was. She had gotten to where she was because she always said yes, right? She never said no. She was always, on the clock doing whatever anybody needed, whenever they needed it, right? But she kind of envisioned that when she got to where she was, that would stop and she would have more work-life balance. And as you guys know, like, it doesn't happen that way. Yeah. So she just she had kind of goals of losing some weight, but the bigger picture was actually to help her balance her life a little more. She had just had a little one not too long ago. She's got a husband that she never really sees because their careers don't cross well. They're like ships passing in the night.
Right. So
we just kind of focus on like the faith, family, and fitness component of that, how all three of those kind of tie in. And, so that led us to focus on things like, deep work in her job and kind of protecting like the golden hours at work, but not letting those dwindle into the personal life. And then just kind of helping her reignite like the passion for, just being more physically active. Because what you touched on is like, our goal, this is our temple. This is the temple that God's given us. Our goal is, when we talk about legacy and the life we want to build for our family and like their kids and the kids beyond that, there's longevity involved in that, because I can't build as strong a legacy as I want to for everybody that comes after me, all the Mathews that come after me, if I'm not taking care of my physical, like fitness and everything like that. So I think that all three of those things, personal, professional, and with family, if there's like a triangle there, then faith is at the center of that. And, that lady is just one example of like how we were able to kind of tie all three. Then she feels more purpose in her life. She's happier at work, her family. She doesn't feel like she's neglecting her family anymore. So that's what Fasted Focus is all about. It's about like cleansing out the toxic habits, right? The fasting portion of it, and then just focusing and dialing in on what really matters.
So, Zach, I want to ask you two other things here. Well, one question, kind of two-part. Somebody can, obviously they can follow you on LinkedIn, Instagram, we've had them up, but if they want to reach you personally, what's the best way someone can connect with you and then message you to get a hold of you?
Yeah, the best way would be my website, which is fastinfocus.com. It's fast, the letter N is in nutrition, focus.com. That's where everything is. So You can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can send me a message directly. Yeah.
Okay. And then one last thing. I know the answer to this, but just in case someone's watching, and I encourage you, those watching, those part of our audience here, if God's speaking to you, make sure you get a hold of Zach. He can definitely help you. And anywhere, right, Zach? Your clients can be, it doesn't matter where they're located, right? You do in person. You also do a lot of clients over Zoom and things like that, right?
Oh yeah, of course. I got people in Utah, Ohio, Missouri, Texas, everywhere in between.
Awesome. Well, I have a feeling someone's going to be reaching out to you. Man, I listen, I'm fired up to see where God's taking you and your business. Love your heart, your passion, man, your family. And I know you have a little one and you have another on the way. So congrats to you and your wife. And listen, man, I love it. Can't wait to see what God does. Zach Mathews, Fast and Focus, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, I appreciate you being with me today. All right, guys, that was our interview with Zach Mathews. I hope you enjoyed it. Listen, if you did, make sure you reach out to Zach and see what he's all about. Listen, I'll see you next time on GC Talks.